Howdy, folks. Happy Thursday. We have lots to discuss. Only 2 games in the NHL last night, but a couple rather interesting ones. But every year, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame gives us a lot of ammo to discuss.
Or agita, depending on how serious you take it. You seem to take it more serious than I do.
You know what? I'll say before we get into the debate, I now don't take it so seriously anymore because they've proved that they're a bunch of assholes.
Remember, when you walk into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it used to be a record store. That store is no longer in business, so I don't know what store they're using now. But it just, at that point, it kind of lets you know where they're at.
They clearly don't have any kind of concept about music, but okay, all right, I'll read off the list of nominees, and some are very deserving, and some I would vote for.
So we'll say who we would vote for or not, and then we have our own.
Okay, so I'll read them off, and you go thumbs up, thumbs down.
Okay.
Mary J. Blige,
thumbs down.
Okay, Ack is joining us here.
Okay.
Ack, we're live, and we're going through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees here.
Fantastic.
Okay, we're giving thumbs up and thumbs down to the nominees,
and then we can add our own after.
And then we can add our own after.
Okay. I like it.
Okay, Mary J. Blige, thumbs down. Thumb down.
I gave a thumbs down. Ek gave a thumbs up. Okay.
Yep.
Kate Bush, thumbs up.
Oh, big thumbs down. Big down.
Yes, no, she's extremely influential.
Yeah, really very much.
Devo,
thumbs down. I was there for the Devo era.
Give me a friggin' break. It's Whip It and Satisfaction, and then what the hell else? They were
a gimmick. Devo was a gimmick.
God,
Devo was a gimmick. I agree with that, but they were a big part of the time period.
They weren't a big part of it. They were a portion of it, and a top 40 portion of it. Is it even rock music? We won't even get into that. But
yeah, it's electronic.
But they were a gimmick.
Beaker's going to give them a thumbs up.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay, well,
Beaker gets the same vote as you. So
Beaker doesn't know crap. So there you go. Right. Foo Fighters, way up.
He's mad at you, Mike, for that. Sorry. Foo Fighters.
Okay. The Go-Go's, thumbs up.
Thumbs up on the Go-Go's.
Yeah, it's simply because they were groundbreaking. I wasn't a big fan of their music. They're very top 40. You could say they had 2 good albums, but
no. They were influential.
They were very influential.
And they're still good.
We got the beat. We got the. Oh, come on, they were awesome.
They were awesome. They still are awesome, actually.
Iron Maiden, thumbs up.
I'm going to say thumbs down, only because I have other ones that are ahead of them, but they're certainly worthy.
Yes. But I think they're going to eventually get in. Maybe not.
They will get in.
Yeah. Shaka Khan.
No.
Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
I mean, other than I Feel For You, basically she was another song that was
big in the dance club. Shaka
I'm Every Woman, that Whitney Houston made into a big hit for The Bodyguard.
That was a good one.
Fela Kuti. Who? Thumbs down.
I can't even vote. I don't even know.
Who the hell is Fela Kuti? Never heard. And I know music. I don't know who the frig Fela Kuti is.
I don't either. Sounds like a disease.
Is that what they tested for when in high school? They look through your hair? Cooties? LL Cool J. Like him a lot. He's not a rocker. He's a rapper.
He's not even a musician.
That's the old debate, right? I mean, that's the debate we've had for years about this thing.
Yeah,
he's not even a musician. He's like a bodybuilder.
LL Cool J is very influential. This is a Music Hall of Fame to me because that's what they made.
It's not. It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but they made it the Music Hall of Fame.
Mama Said Knock You Out is a great song. I'm sure every NHL arena plays it when there's a fight. But come on. New York Dolls.
Who?
New York Dolls.
No.
David
They're influential, but no.
No, I agree. Rage Against the Machine, big thumbs up. Even though I don't like their politics, extremely talented band, thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up here.
No, thumbs down.
Todd Rundgren, thumbs up.
Way up, yeah. Way up.
I'm going to give a thumbs up for Todd Rundgren and cross one off my list. That's what I'm going to
do. And Dionne Warwick, thumbs down.
Thumbs down. Psychic Network aside, she's not rock and roll.
Well, this is the rock and roll thing, right? So,
right.
But I mean, she's only pop music. She wrote with Burt Bacharach. It had nothing to do with, there are no rock. There's nothing you can even say that even pop rock. You can't.
I like the duet or the That's What Friends Are For with Elton John.
Oh my God! What about Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Is that a rock and roll song?
Yeah, I mean, come on, please. Again, it's the Pop Hall of Fame. She belongs there. Okay, each of us go around the horn here. Bands that have been omitted that definitely need to be considered.
All right, I'll give you my list. So
give us one, then we'll go around the horn.
Okay. Styx. That's one.
That's one on my list. Ack.
Oh, that's a good one. See, I wasn't prepared. Sorry. So I'm not
no. I'll give you one. Me and Russ will go back and you just agree or
disagree. Yeah. I'm not sure who could have been, who qualifies and like that.
This one is very, very popular with our Canadian viewers, and I agree. The Guess Who definitely belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I would give them heavy consideration. I would say that.
I don't know about them.
Okay.
I know they're big Canadian. They're a huge Canadian thing, but I'm not quite sure.
Emerson, Lake and Palmer for sure.
They're on my list.
Yeah, they should be there.
A couple people in the chat just said Foreigner definitely.
Foreigner would be there. Yes.
Okay. Kansas, that's a good one.
Kansas is good. Okay. Russ, you go next.
I don't know about Kansas. I would go Chicago over Kansas.
I'm on the edge with. I'm going to say this.
I don't think they're in.
Six Kansas, six in Kansas, and Foreigner. I'm kind of on the. They could go either way. I'm a huge fan of Styx, but I don't know if they're a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band.
I think they're good.
Look, at the end of the day, if you want to separate even Dennis DeYoung out, there's no question Tommy Shaw is enduring.
Okay. Pat Benatar.
Pat Benatar is on my list.
Yeah, she should be on. She should be in there.
Very influential.
Russ, do you have another one?
No, that's
okay.
it.
I'll give you a few of mine, and of course, me being a prog rocker, I think that some of these belong. And this is not prog rock, but Supertramp.
No.
Oh my God! Extremely influential, extremely good.
Yeah, I would say that they should be in there.
I love Breakfast.
And they're above Styx and
no, that's not even their best album. Their best album.
No, I just love Breakfast. I didn't mean Breakfast in the
Okay, we'll go out for a bagel later, Russ.
I was just making a statement, Mike.
Okay, this one will be obscure, but I think they deserve as in terms of influence because Genesis, yes, all these bands would not have happened if it wasn't for King Crimson.
Yeah.
King Crimson definitely belongs in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You said Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Jethro Tull.
Yeah, I would put Jethro Tull in.
In the heavy metal category, under maybe even had an Iron Maiden, is Judas Priest.
Yes, I would put Judas Priest in. When I saw Judas Priest a couple of years ago, I was shocked at how good they were in concert. Even though I saw them at Live Aid, but this was years later.
Yeah, I mean they're a good band, no question about it. But
I mean, in terms of
if they were out now, like how good would they be? I mean, it's like they had them. You got to remember that a lot of these bands had a.
Well, metal wouldn't be as big right now, so that's not fair either.
Somewhere Rob Halford is still whipping a motorcycle with a bullwhip. Come on,
right?
Actually,
I will say this: the guitarists in that group are very good. Like
they're fantastic.
They are really good. They're top notch.
And this is the list I had didn't. I thought. You know what? We have to. I'm sorry. I left off three. It was in a separate paragraph. Here are three names that are also on the list that we have to give thumbs up or thumbs down for.
Okay.
Jay-Z, thumbs down.
No, thumbs
Again,
down.
Same thing.
I don't care about the last
Jay-Z, Jay-Z, yeah, definitely
not. Carole King.
Oh, big
extremely influential, but she had one big.
One fine day, like it.
No, it's
Carole King was like a lot more than one.
I get it.
Again, this the fact that it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is
okay. We're gonna forget that it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
If we make this the Music Hall of Fame, Carole King is in.
For writers, she should be in the Writers Hall of Fame.
Yeah, she was part of that Brill Building, with Neil Sedaka in the early '60s. So
I'm going to say she wrote more hits than hits that she has.
Yes, she did. Now, okay, here's why. Okay, Tina Turner is already in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame along with Ike Turner.
Right.
Now she's being nominated as a solo artist. And you know what? Her career as a solo artist is bigger than it was with Ike because
it really wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Sure it was.
There was a few songs. No, because
Hanson. Steve Cohen says Hanson. Steve, really?
No, please. Steve, you're going to be banned because I know
I
you're
have a serious. Can I bring up my issue with Hanson for 1 second?
Sure. No.
Hanson. No, this is a serious thing. Okay, so I signed it out. I signed a record deal, a 7-album record deal with Mercury Records in 1996. First album we did. Big deal. You're going to get your release date. When you're on your release date to be like, it's an important thing when your album comes out. The last minute Hanson's release date. Hanson was also on Mercury. Was released. Hanson's Bop was released the same day as my first album was released. Yeah. Mercury gave all the promotion to Hanson, and we got screwed. So
that sucks.
Now, okay,
Hanson in any way, shape, or form. I'll be right back.
I don't know whether because I'm pretty sure that when they let Ringo Starr as a solo in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that meant all 4 Beatles were in there as solo artists as well. Right. So Harrison is in there, Lennon and McCartney, obviously. Okay, so Tina Turner is nominated as a solo artist. Okay, I'm for that because I think she had a number of hits and she deserves it. But that opens the door. And Peter Gabriel is in as a solo artist, separate from Genesis. How about Sting? How about Steve Winwood?
Oh, there's no question that Sting should be. All right, Steve Winwood, Traffic should be.
Traffic is.
Traffic is, so that's why Steve Winwood.
I got some issues with Steve Winwood.
Steve Winwood's solo career in terms of.
I know he had big hits and stuff like that. He did.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's some people that I just think are overrated. That's something. I think Steve Winwood's overrated.
I just want to War Act because Steve Winwood is not overrated. But anyway, please.
I mean, it depends what you think. I mean. But here's a couple. I think Van Morrison is overrated, which people kill me on.
I agree with that. I think Springsteen is overrated, but I know we don't agree on that. Oh, by the way, did he get busted for his DWI in Kansas?
No, not Kansas, Jersey.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, hey! I thought he was from Kansas. They would have let him go.
Brutal. Yeah.
So,
go ahead.
So, as usual, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has provided us with. Oh, somebody said Bryan Adams.
I would put Bryan Adams in. Yes,
I would put Bryan Adams in too.
Here's what I would.
Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, maybe, but
no. I mean, here's the other thing. Not only does he have numerous hits, but the actual band has been together this whole time. Keith Scott is a great guitarist. He is. And he's been enduring. When you want to say "Run to You," and you want to say there's 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah. Summer '69.
You play 3 or 4 chords, and you know it. You should.
Oh, there's no question about it.
And he probably has the biggest pop hit of the last 25 years with the song from the Robin Hood soundtrack.
But I'm not even counting that.
No, but I'm saying they count sales. Sales are big for them.
Yeah, they do. Unfortunately,
I mean, if you count sales, he's in it. I mean, he's in it for sure because he's a good guy too. And I've met him.
I met him at the outdoor game in Toronto.
And
people say he shunned Canada. What's going on with that? I didn't know that.
No, he's just
he always does everything in Canada.
No, but
Canada is nothing. I mean, there must be story there.
Pearl Jam is in. Nirvana is in. Foo Fighters is going to get in this year.
You know what? I'm feeling good. Randy's right because his name is Randy and he's asking about Bachman Turner Overdrive. I'll put him in.
Right, not Chilliwack, even though I like them.
They are there. That's another one of the most overrated, ridiculously awful bands of all time.
Okay, but they were a great era band in the sense that if you were 17 or 18 like I was, and you went out to a bar, you were either going to see on Long Island. You were either going to see BTO.
Oh, there's no question about it.
Or Zebra. You're going to see Zebra.
You were going to see Zebra, or you were going to see what's his name's band. Dee Snider's band. No, Dee Snider's band.
Oh, Twisted Sister.
Twisted Sister. One of those 3 you would have seen.
Now, okay.
Business, Russ.
Roger, speaking to my heart here, where he says the Tragically Hip. As much as I love him,
I love the Tragically Hip, I think
they deserve to be in, but they didn't get enough notice like throughout the U.S. It was like they're a Northeastern band, they're a Canada band. I would love to see it. They deserve it. Gord Downey was a friggin' genius.
Oh, no, they're brilliant and they're fantastic, and you know, and they have the unofficial Buzzcast.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
So I don't forever say that, you know, I love it, but you know, but
it's just like the worst song on that album, Mac.
It's a great song though. We know we're getting the age of our chat room today. Like, you know, in Bachman Turner Overdrive and now Grand Funk Railroad.
Listen, I don't listen to Bachman Turner Overdrive and I don't listen to Grand Funk Railroad, but they did have Grand Funk Railroad did have a place in time. They did.
Little River Band. Are we gonna go there now?
No, God no.
Ambrosia.
No,
I like the Little River Band better than Bachman Turner.
You like the Little River Band? Are you kidding me?
Better than Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Bruce Hornsby deserves to be in.
Why don't you put in Gordon Lightfoot? You want Gordon Lightfoot too?
He's fantastic.
Oh my God, he's
fantastic too. Okay,
Gordon Lightfoot it should be. He's great.
We have to get into the show here, but let me just say these bands. And like I said, Foo Fighters is going to get in. Nirvana and Pearl Jam are going to get in. Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots.
Both of those deserve to be there. Yeah.
All of them have to be in. Here endeth the lesson. Okay.
I mean, it's a funny thing because it's really so friggin' subjective. Like it's such a stupid thing. Like to have it's so different than like a regular Hall of Fame. To me, that's what's
whoever Jan Wenner wants to have in.
It's whoever you like personally. Like I have today in 1982, the single Mr. Roboto came out by Styx.
Right. I saw that tour actually.
And
I saw that tour.
And if you look at the Rolling Stone record guide, it's clear that Rolling Stone hates progressive rock. They hate it with a passion.
Someone asked about ELO, but I think ELO is in.
They are in. They hate bands like Crosby, Stills, and Nash too.
I know.
Is Asia a bit? Is Asia?
No,
Asia's not in.
They're not in. They won't get in. They had two great albums, and I don't think they'll.
No, I agree. I mean, there's a longevity. It depends how you like.
Yeah, they're going to go with longevity, so they won't put him in, and that's fair.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. That's funny. That's always a fun topic.
And Rush is in. Yeah, progressives. Genesis, yes. Rush are probably the only three.
Pink Floyd, right?
Pink Floyd. Do you consider Pink Floyd progressive?
We've had this debate before. Yes, I do.
They're close to progressive. They're somewhere in the middle.
Guys.
Yeah, it depends on the album. That's true.
I mean, the Final Cut is a concept. There's concept albums, but I mean, they're all. I mean, The Wall obviously is a great.
What was the concept of just listening to frog sounds? What was the concept for that? Acid?
No, but there's a lot of progressive bands that do worse than that. If you're going to get deep into progressive music, you're going to hear lots of things like that.
Animals.
The only difference between Pink Floyd and other progressives is the frog sounds. Now would be in like 7-Eleven, you know.
Yeah, if you listen to "Shine on You, Crazy Diamond" parts 1 through 5, I would say that's progressive.
Nobody's listening to part 3, 4, and 5, Mike. Nobody.
Like Dream Academy or Dream Theater. What's going on?
Yeah, you're the only one.
Dream Theater.
It's another progress band.
Is an offshoot of Yes. They're pretty good, but they're an offshoot of Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, let's start the show.
All right. Geez, that was today's the 11th.
Yeah.
Yes.
My phone's not here right now. I just realized my phone's over there. All right. I have to get my phone, guys. 1 second. Sorry, because we got things coming up. But I'll start the show. Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, the 11th of
February.
Oh my God.
It's a struggle. It's a struggle.
It is Thursday, February 11th, 2021.
I'm Michael Agello, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame blows.
I'm Russ Cohen, and I still don't understand why Eck wants Gordon Lightfoot. I don't.
I'm actually watching HockeyBuzzcast on HockeyBuzz.com. Go.
Okay, let's start with the two games last night. And Russ, I didn't see this until this morning, and I can't believe that late in the third period, in a 2-2 tie, Tuukka Rask didn't know his team was tied, and
I know, and he went to the bench.
He almost went to the bench for the extra attack. I mean, what the hell?
Well, he did go to the bench, and they sent him right back. He didn't.
Well, no, I watched the video. He got to like about 3 feet away from the bench, and
he was like within a certain amount, but he was going there.
Yeah, I mean
that was crazy. I'm gonna have to help out Johnny right here. Johnny, email me, russellcohen@yahoo.com. 2 S's, 2 L's. Thank you. Anyhow, that game was interesting because people thought I was reacting to the coaching of David Quinn from that game, or by people I mean Jan and a few other people. But if you consider Jan a person, that's another debate.
It's debate.
But the idea is, I'm looking at the last 6-7 weeks of the Rangers, and it's more losses than wins. It's the fourth line being the best line. It's the let's get the Anthony Petittos and those kinds of players, the fourth line players.
Kevin
Rooney. Let's make them the stars because they're trying real hard, and let's keep the game close. Because if we do that in this fluky format, maybe in the last week of the season, we're like 4 points out and we could trick the fans into thinking we're actually in it, instead of actually saying, hey, you know what? We need to actually get our young talent to move forward. And I am not going to give David Quinn credit for Adam Fox, because Adam Fox was going to do it on his own. He's been successful everywhere. He came straight from college with so much international experience. There was no problem. Now, Keandre Miller looks great in the early going. I'll give Quinn credit for that, but he still could have hiccups. We're only talking about 12 games in.
Right.
So Alexis Lafreniere, I really do believe when you put him with Phil DiGiuseppe, a great kid, when you put him with DiGiuseppe and
Julian Gauthier?
No. It's it starts with the last name was H.
Howden.
Yeah, Howden, Brett Howden. You put him on a line with those two pluggers, and you are now basically trying to change his game. And Julian Gauthier, who maybe had his best game as a Ranger, gets his first NHL goal. He got rewarded with 6 minutes and 59 seconds of ice time. Now, at the end of the game, David Quinn said he was pissed off at himself because he noticed that. Here's a newsflash, folks. The coaches get the stats every period. They get them handed to them. They go over them.
They have other coaches there who should be noted, should be pointing out, hey,
and they know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, you know how much he was playing.
Very, very rarely does the head coach say this line go out, that line. That's something like, okay, for example, with the Leafs, a couple nights ago they played Rasmus Sandin. They told him before the game he wasn't going to play a lot. Dave Hackstall is the one who does the defensive assignments. Sandin had 3 hits. He was a +1, had an assist on a goal, and he played 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Why bother even friggin' playing him if you're going to play 5 minutes?
But my last point here is, for all the times that they tried to set up Capo Caco that game, and he had a wide open net on one of them and couldn't do it, they're not doing that for Lafreniere. And Quinn had this quote where he says, look, I get that these guys, when they're in their leagues, they're top 6 players, but when they get here, they have to play bottom 6. Yeah, for a short time, David. You don't want to turn guys with top 6 talent into bottom 6 guys. No. That's not the goal here. He's reminding me of Dave Hackstall too much, and I don't think he's helping. And I don't think he's helping these young players. And at the end of the day, Ranger fans only seem to care right now if the game is close. If the game is close, they're happy. And my feeling is, for every one of those points that you get for keeping it close and lose all these other games, they have 4 wins. They are not competing this year, even with the goaltending they have.
Yeah.
Give your young players the ice time instead of these vets that you sign for cheap to fill in gaps.
If you want to contrast to what the Rangers are doing, just look across the ice at the Bruins. It's like, okay, we all criticize them moving on from Chara, but look at what they're doing right now on defense. Zboril, Lawson, Carlo's been there a couple years. Grzelcyk's been there a couple years. McAvoy is clearly the number 1 now, and they bring back Kevin Miller, who was injured for a year. Right. So and they have other young guys who are sort of Vakanainen, who's waiting in the wings, and up front, they're mixing in Frederick. They're mixing in some of the younger forwards. That's what you do. You mix them in, but you give them time. You don't play them 5 minutes. It's
Artemi Panarin maybe has a knee injury or something like that, some sort of lower body injury. If he's out for any length of time, they're sunk anyhow. Especially with Zibanejad being as indecisive as he is, and that's when you just say, you know what, Lafreniere now is our second line guy, and he has taken Panarin's place. and he is staying there for the duration. He is going to get 16 minutes a game, maybe 15, but he's not going to get games where he gets 9 minutes, then 12 minutes, then 13 minutes, or maybe none of the third period and a lot in the first and second. It is going to be consistent. He's going to get top power play. I don't care about the other veterans here. Here's our future. Some of you guys like Kreider, hey, if you have to go to second power play, tough. You'll deal. We already paid you. That's what you have to do to advance the ball forward. That's honestly. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, I think that we've seen people like someone brought up Couturier in the chat room of like, you know, when guys are put on these third and fourth lines, totally different. I mean, obviously
the stronger kid, coach's kid, different situation.
Number one superstar. I mean, Couturier already was a good two-way player. That's what he was known for. That. I've seen other players. You know, I'm just when I was thinking about like Flyers in the back of my mind because you know that the like players who've been in this situation before. But they're not Lafreniere, you know, like they're not a top overall pick or a guy who's considered like a possible generational type talent.
Right.
It's a very different thing than like say like a Simone Gagne or something like that, who was made who was a star player, but really was buried on the third and fourth line to the point where he became, you know, one of the better defensive players in the league and really picked up that. Flyers had a guy, remember Denver Zubris was another guy who was like. Who played for New Jersey, played in Montreal, but he also was a star type, you know, first round draft pick scorer who was buried and became good defensively and took on that as part of their role and lasted longer in the NHL because of it. But that's not that's Couturier, but that's not Lafreniere.
No, it's a different kind of game. The other funny thing, and this is I got to tell you, I reacted to this. I usually don't react this way, but hearing Pierre Maguire say that we all, meaning in the media, should notice that Brad Marchand is one of the best defensive forwards in the league and vote him in the Selke as you know, as he says. My retort to him, if I had him in person, would be like, well, if you count slew footing and some of those other moves as defensive moves, then you're right, Pierre. If not, then shut up.
Yeah, right. If you count licking,
millions of parents are saying yes.
To licking it would be.
I don't even care about millions of parents. I'm really just, you know. No, but it's just. Now you're trying to tell us that Marchand, look,
he's not even the best defensive forward on his line. His line.
On there, he's one of the best defensive forwards in the history of the game. And now you're telling me to vote for Marchand too. Like, just stop.
Man, right? You can make a better case, and I've made the case, even though he's despicable over the last few years, that Marchand should have gotten more consideration for the Hart Trophy than he has, because he is one of the most valuable players. He's consistent. He's at in the top 10 of scoring. He's a great player. He's just he on the ice. I mean, and he's toned it down a little bit. On the ice, he's been an idiot the last few years.
I'll tell you what, he is the best 3-on-3 forward in the NHL. He is. Because he senses when he could make a defensive play and turn it into an offensive play, and he knows when to turn it on. And I give Marchand great credit for that. That's all.
I'm going to mute you, Ack, while you're
breaking furniture.
While you're taking care of business. Now, let's look at the other game. Okay, I'm unmuting you now.
Back. Thanks.
The other game last night was the meeting of the two top teams in the North Division, the Leafs and the Canadiens. It didn't start off well for Toronto, but they sort of gained momentum as the game went along, tied the game in the second, and got 3 goals in the third period to win 4-2. I have to say, a couple of the goals. The first goal that Josh Anderson scored on the first shot, I still don't know how that puck went in. It was Freddie Anderson. It was not a good, but Freddie Anderson played much better as the game went along. I don't know about the 2 goals that the Leafs scored. Dermott was a short side top corner that I think Price should have had, and the Justin Hall shot was from the point. There was no.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Dermott one. I think the Hall one was deflected.
They said it wasn't.
I know they said it wasn't, but if you noticed, it did seem to skip up into the right corner.
Right.
I think there was a slight deflection there somewhere. I really felt that way. But the thing about we have to give credit to Montreal. They knew what they wanted in Josh Anderson. They got it, man. They've got 9 goals out of him. Bergevin in the last 2 seasons has made great moves.
as
for this team. There's no
as long as his shoulder is good, that was a great acquisition. And I said when they made it, it's like, okay, if he's healthy, he's a difference maker. And this is the thing, and this is going to be the battle, and this is going to be the battle that we're going to see. They play the Leafs 10 times, and hopefully they meet in the playoffs because they haven't met in the playoffs since '79. You look at that Montreal team, and they are big. And they are tough, and they are
also in the playoffs too. The way they play,
right? And they are also fast. Weber buried Tavares' head into the ice. It wasn't a mistake; he did it on purpose, and he took a run at Marner. And their defense with Petrie and Chirot and Edmondson is really good, and that's why I think before the deadline, the Leafs are going to have, is on top of having Wayne Simmons come back, which he provides his certain level of toughness. I think the Leafs are going to have to go out and get somebody who with a little size that can crash and bang. Not somebody who's a top 6 guy, but maybe a depth guy.
We talk about how much they the narrative on the Montreal Canadiens has changed over the course of a year. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is beyond anything you could have imagined. It really is just like
it's a great turnaround.
It's a great turnaround, but he didn't make like major moves. He just made little smart moves. I still and I will forever now believe that them making the bubble last year and making the playoffs mattered to them.
Trading Domi for Josh Anderson, to me, was a big move.
It was a big move, but the confidence they got last year, playing the bubble, building together as a team, it mattered to them. And that, and we had that debate, and we'll have the debate again, I'm sure. But I just think that that mattered over the slight possibility of getting Lafreniere. I just think they really have absolutely become watching those two teams, they're both very good. The thing about them is, they're both. I don't know that they're both great. And it's interesting. I thought that I looked at the Canadian division. I'm like, there's a lot of really solid teams there.
Right.
I don't know that I wonder what level. I wonder how many great teams are there in the NHL right now. Really,
I'd say probably 6 or 7.
I don't think it's.
I'd
close
say maybe 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Tampa.
I'm going to give you Tampa.
Tampa.
Definitely.
Boston.
Okay.
The Avalanche.
Vegas.
Yeah.
Vegas.
No, okay. Not to me. They're good. I mean, they're really, really good.
I'm going to put Vegas.
Great. I mean, great teams. But are any of those great teams that we're talking about in the Northern Division?
I think Toronto.
I think they're really.
Toronto in there.
They have the best record in the league right now. So
they do. But they have the best record in the league. They're playing in it, but they're not playing in a. This is a bad. I'm just.
I would put Toronto and Montreal in, so I would have 6. I would.
Let's say this though, because Toronto has played Vancouver 3 times. Okay.
Right.
Vancouver's clearly struggling. Montreal has played Vancouver 5 or 6 times.
Right, and Montreal's played Ottawa a bunch of times.
Right, and the Leafs.
If the Leafs lose to those teams, then we say what's wrong with the Leafs. Right. Now that they're winning, we can't say what's wrong with the Leafs.
Listen, I mean, but I think the Canadian. I just don't know that the Canadian teams are as good as we thought they were. I think that again, and it's the really interesting thing about when teams only play teams in a division is we don't get a perspective.
So we're not going to know until the one team.
You don't know until the playoffs, right? So I mean, as Boston, are they a great? Is this Boston team great? No, in my opinion, they're not great. They're very, very. They're
a great goalie. Hold on, they have a great goalie. They have a great first line still. So that's enough to make them great in this league.
That's one line and one goalie.
And they have a good supporting cast.
I'm sorry, what were the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2004? One line, one great goalie.
No. But that's all you need. Tampa now is a great team, no questions asked. And I'll give you Colorado; they're a great team right now, definitely.
But even they have questions.
Everybody's got questions, but I'm just saying.
I mean, the question right now with the league.
I don't even think that's a great hat, but you didn't ask about that.
the question with the league.
A great hat, but it's a hat.
Did you get a bowl of soup with it? The question with the Leafs is, will they choke in the playoffs? Are the veterans that they brought in, Simmons, Thornton?
That's the question.
That's the question. And we won't know that until May.
Right.
Montreal,
but until then, if they're winning games, we can't say they're not great. They're great right now, this moment. That's all we can go with.
Randy says I'm bad for making that comment.
I'm still trying to figure out what it means, Mike. Like I'm
it's
sitting
a
here.
line from Caddyshack.
Oh, is it? Okay. All right. Thanks.
No, but at the end of the day, I understand what Eck is saying, but teams that we mention now are teams that have a chance to win the cup, and we can't say the Leafs don't have a chance until they prove us right that they can.
Right.
So
and they compete against Tampa.
Sure.
Right, but it's not their fault that they're not.
I know, but I mean, yeah, right, and I get that.
Like COVID-19,
watching them play, and I'm like, they're better than they were, but they're still.
Now,
that division is the Canadian division is very strange. It's a very strange division.
But here's a point that they made last night, and I think it is a reality, and it's going to be a reality all this year, is the fact that, as the game played out last night, Anderson scores like 1:16 into the first period. If that was in front of 18,000 fans, rabid Habs fans at Centre Bell, it would have been an overwhelming wave of emotion. Okay, 3-1 in the third period. Tatar scores. There's 3 minutes left in regulation. Again, the crowd would be a factor. That wasn't a factor in that game because the crowd isn't there. You have to factor in that. Right now the Leafs are 11-2-1. They're playing well when there's no fans around. So that might be a factor throughout the year. I don't know. All I can say is the thing that's surprising is that they're 11-2-1, and Thornton has been out, and Simmons has been out, and they've lost one of their young guys in Robertson. They're doing it in spite of having some significant injuries. So I think that's a factor. But again, they get swamped next week and play like crap, and then we'll be
right. But I mean, until then, they look good. They could get better. There's definitely an ability, and that's the thing. There's an ability for all these teams we mentioned to get better. You get a better.
Oh yeah, no, there's no question about that. And part of this, I'm going to say, is the way things are happening right now. No practice time. There was no preseason. The COVID thing. There's a whole lot of inconsistencies going on. So I'm just saying that we're not seeing great teams play against each other really on that. And even last night when you're watching the two top teams, Montreal to me is I can't. I'm a Montreal guy. I can't put them as a great team yet in the NHL. Like this, they're a good team. Great team to me are legitimately got it all going on. Their defense is solid. Their offense is solid. They're good penalty killing, good power play. They got good goaltending.
And how many of those teams are there?
That's what I'm saying.
There's maybe one or two, but
what I'm saying.
Those teams don't always win.
I know.
We said that about Tampa Bay 2 years ago, and they lost to Columbus.
Eck also said that about Stacey's mom, but that's beside the point.
She's got it going on. No, the reality is what I'm trying to say is we are in a you can call it what you want, a parity-driven league or whatever, but we're in a league where there's problems with everybody, there's issues with everybody.
Yes,
and that's why I can't call these teams great, because if you're going relative great to what else is happening in the league, that's one thing. But to me,
that's all we're talking about. We're not talking about all-time great.
To me, great teams are teams that have everything together.
Well, put them under the category of Stanley Cup contenders. That's
different. That's different because someone's got to win the Stanley Cup, right? So, but to me, the great teams, I thought there were more great teams going into the year than there are right now. And I think there's more teams with problems. Way more teams with problems than I expected.
Again, we're only 12 games in, 13 games in. It could change 25 games in.
Yeah. I mean, it's a salary cap is true. People bring up that you're talking about. It's hard. It's hard to build that. Obviously, Tampa's done it. They've managed to do it. Colorado's managed to do it. St. Louis did a good job with it a couple years ago. I mean, they were a great team. The Capitals used to be a really great team, but they've got problems now. The Bruins have been consistently good, too great. But I think this Bruins team is good, almost great, but not quite great. They're not like a dominant Bruins team that we've seen before, but they're better than maybe everybody in their division. I don't know.
Just to contribute to the ongoing criticism of the Arizona Coyotes, it was reported about a half hour ago that they have terminated Steve Sullivan, who was
we expected that.
Right, who was their interim GM at a point. So I mean, clearly this is, he's not part of the solution with Bill Armstrong. That he's bringing in his own guys and he's cleaning out. I mean, the thing is, how many times is this organization going to clean out? They're really.
This is a really bad clean out. They've never had one like this. And honestly, I don't know how deep Steve Sullivan was in on this. He's a really good, honest guy from what I've seen. So I don't know. But again, you knew he
couldn't get anybody to go there to be their GM. Like they tried,
right?
Because there was so much, there's so much variableness there. You don't know what's happening with that team. So right now,
I think he's just. I think to a degree he's caught up in it, and Armstrong has to just clean house. Like he has no choice.
Yeah, and they're playing better than they should. And that's something that we would, you would expect, honestly, in hockey, because that's how it works usually.
But this is what the Coyotes do every year. They always kind of play better than they should, and then all of a sudden they crash land, and we're like another year out of the playoffs.
Now, the announcement came down yesterday. I want to get everybody's reaction to this. The great and all-powerful Andrew Cuomo.
I want to talk about this too.
Yeah, decided that it is okay. And I believe the reason that they did this act was not for the intention of the indoor, for the NHL and the NBA teams, but for Major League Baseball, because the Mets and the Yankees are going to play at Yankee Stadium and Citi Field, and they're going to allow, and in all these arenas, they're going to allow 10% access, and then probably as things go along, if things are okay, they'll increase that percentage. But 10% would be 1,900 fans at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, a little less at Barclay or Nassau Coliseum. Same for Madison Square Garden. For the Knicks and Barclays for the Nets and the Rangers at MSG, and then at Yankee Stadium, I think the capacity is around 60,000, so it'd be like 6,000 in Citi Field. What's the capacity at Citi?
Like 40.
Okay, so
then 30. Things like 35.
Okay, so I don't know about this.
Yeah, like I'm with you, because I mean the thing that just from the reality of the situation. The cases are coming down to a degree. That's true, but the new versions of it are way more, transmittable. And people are saying, now you really need to be careful in supermarkets, because if you breathe in the air, if someone's in there with this, everyone in the supermarket's going to get it. You put, I don't know, 10% of 2,000 people into those stadiums or whatever. I'm not going to feel as comfortable as I do now. Like, I mean, or, so the players feel as comfortable as they do now, like.
I know. I'll tell you, there's two factors for me, because I've been looking at it from a non-sports perspective. And I saw the other day, we were finally at a point where vaccinations overtook cases. And so that's a big deal. And I think they're trying to protect. And I saw that Fauci now thinks that in April is when like everybody will start to get vaccinated. It doesn't matter what your categorization is. And
there's going to be like a
because of the Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah, this is going to be exponential. Like they basically say that it's going to hit suddenly, because there's going to be like two more, not just Johnson & Johnson, but another one coming too.
Okay. So if that's the case by April, then there is just a short window here from February 27th to April. And I think they're doing it that way, because that state is not in the red anymore. They're not code red. They haven't been code red in a while.
Well, Ohio, which is still in pretty bad shape. They're in bad shape. The Columbus is going to allow fans in too. That's also coming.
Iffy. I agree with you on that.
Well, and okay, I
think Pennsylvania is going to be really close behind that. Like I think you and I are going to see Flyers fans in that building in March for sure.
And I just read this a couple days ago that apparently there is a cancer drug that was developed in Israel that was converted, that they basically converted their research towards COVID, and it's a pill. And if that is mass produced, then you're talking about getting it out there, very, very quickly.
Yes.
But the thing is, okay. it's a start, but again, right now things are going down because everything has been shut down. The question is that when things start to open up and the weather gets warmer, I mean, people don't realize it's like everybody was like this hue and cry of, oh my God, and all these games are canceled. January and February were supposed to be the worst months. So having a lot of the games postponed right now, they had to be expected. It's the question of whether
it would happen.
Right, exactly. They knew it was good. That's why they built in all these. I mean, everybody thought it was going to be like 3-game series, and the series were going to be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Instead, they're Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Why? Because they built in these days so they could move things around or fit other games in. That's why you see Arizona playing St. Louis 7 times in a row because other games were canceled. So
but Mike is right. Baseball is a big factor here because it is a huge economic boom to New York. And it doesn't just include like the New York City area because a lot of people do travel from areas like as far as Buffalo to go see the Yankees and the Mets. So it does create
there's a perception.
State.
Yeah, I think that baseball's a factor. I also think there's just a general perception of people wanting to see progress. Like like showing and small progress is progress. Like
mental well-being.
Yeah. That's why.
Right. And it lifts the spirits. Lifts the spirits of the community.
Broadway's a big one.
Broadway's a big one. It lifts the spirits of the community, you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. And Cuomo's about that, I actually really very much like him. I know Mike doesn't. We won't get into that.
But that's okay.
But I very much like him. So moving on, I think there's
nursing homes, 2 words. Anyway.
The progress thing is something that we that is a very positive thing. And I think like right now, 4,500 people in Florida. Next week they're going to start having Tampa's going to start letting fans in. So, to me, the whole concept of but 4,500 in Florida, they're not. I did find out that they're not getting 4,500 people in there. Like they're not selling all this tickets
because there's probably people that don't want to go.
Because that's the other thing that we have to be very careful about because and even if we said 20% could come in right now or 30% or 40%,
it doesn't mean that they're going to be there.
People won't. Like there's right now people.
I mean, here's something we didn't talk about the Super Bowl. There was a hashtag packed in, and not everybody had masks on. We saw yesterday when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on 2 different boats, and clearly all of them were not players. Nobody was wearing a mask. Tom Brady came off the boat. He wasn't wearing a mask, besides other problems Brady had, which is fine. I'm not even caring about that. But my problem is that is unfortunately the way in Florida. Like you stay out, it's beautiful out, maybe you have a few drinks, and you don't wear a mask. That state is going to be woefully behind until everybody gets vaccinated.
It's been woefully behind the whole time. Yeah, I mean, it's been woefully behind the whole time. I mean, and the crazy thing is they should be ahead because they have the heat, which is which is like something that's a huge benefit, Yeah,
but their vaccine, and this is getting off hockey here, but their vaccine.
No, we'll get back into hockey.
Their vaccine policy has probably been the most progressive because what they've been doing is giving all the vaccines to all the senior citizens, which is the smart thing to do.
All right,
but also the smart thing to do because they did it ahead of the nurses and doctors and frontline workers. That wasn't a smart thing.
Well, and then we'll definitely go back. I have my in-laws live in Florida, and getting the vaccine it's been hellish. Like they just got their first shot finally. They're 80 years old. Okay, they're 82 years old. I mean, and they had to drive 2.5 hours to get it. It's just.
Well, my parents are older than that. They don't have shots yet, but I'll bring it back. Yeah, I'll bring it back to sports in the sense that if we do get into these regional hubs or a Stanley Cup, Tampa has no chance of hosting it. The NHL, and there's no way they're going to chance it in a place like that or in Florida either. Like they're going to lose their shot at maybe getting something like that. They're going to go whichever state looks like it's the safest.
Maybe or maybe not. Maybe or maybe not because the thing is in that Central Division. With the Florida teams, they may be the only ones, along with maybe Columbus, that can have fans, and now the NHL is going to want to get ticket revenue.
Well, maybe by then a lot of people will be vaccinated, and it won't matter. But I'm just saying, the problems for a league, especially like the NHL, is every state's got different policies, so everybody's going to have different types of attendance, and then everybody's going to have different kinds of case situations,
right?
And that. Unfortunately, that affects the whole season. Like it just does.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
I mean, if Nashville is a hub city,
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck. Everybody's gonna want out and go out and get hot chicken and go to the bars and listen to some country music.
Yeah,
Like I haven't been to a bar in a year.
Oh, I know.
I know, isn't that weird?
I know. It's unbelievable.
I mean, just the concept of bars, for me, the concept of because we have a place near Atlantic City, the concept of just going over Atlantic City, that's like
Atlantic City is safer than Florida though. Like I've been there a few
times.
times.
I know, and I haven't been in there yet, but
people are wearing masks in and out, mostly in. But like Johnny says, I'm in Florida. Many people here won't wear masks. In Atlantic
that's
City,
the case,
which to me that's just crazy. We'll get back to hockey.
Yeah. We were sharing this before the show. The announcement from the Ontario Hockey League,
right,
is hilarious. I mean, first of all, like we mentioned yesterday, the province of Ontario has not given permission to the Toronto Marlies and the Belleville Senators in terms of being able to play in their own buildings. The rumor is that the Senators will play in Ottawa. So they'll probably play at the Canadian Tire Center when the Senators are not playing, and the Marlies will still play at it used to be Coca-Cola Coliseum. It used to be Ricoh Coliseum. So they'll play in there, but they're not playing in Ontario for the entire month of February because they can't get permission from the province of Ontario. Now, what comes out is the Ontario Hockey League, they're still in limbo right now because the province hasn't made any decisions. And there was a report that came out that said they're going to play a 24-game season in hubs in April. What is the friggin' point?
They won't. I'm telling you what they're going to do is they're probably going to have some sort of playoff tournament. And that's if Canada, if people start getting vaccinations and they lift their ban. Look, in Canada, they're no different than the regular people here. They haven't gotten their vaccinations yet either, most people. Right. So
and they're still doing 14-day quarantines, which, like I said yesterday, is completely asinine. It should be 7-day. You test every day, and that should be enough. 14 days and shutting the borders is just dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the thing we saw from Chris Peters, Russ, about the under 18
U18s
in Dallas. Okay. We haven't talked about this, the sort of whisper out there is that there might not be the 2021 draft might not happen until 2022. That they may push the draft till next July 2022 or June 2022 and then have two drafts back to back, which is just mind blowing.
No, but I think this changed it. I think now that they announced the U18s, that changed it because that's the catalyst for the draft.
I mean, the big issue with that is obviously Seattle, right? Like that's the thing that I keep Seattle needs a draft. Like they need a draft. Point. They can't just go on two drafts, so they can't just go like two drafts. I mean, that's killing Seattle. So I think there will be a draft. I don't think that when
I tell you, because of the U18s, there will be a draft.
Yeah,
and
it'll probably be a remote draft, Russ. I can't imagine.
It could be, but this will be the most scouted tournament in the last 10 years because of the lack of things that have been going on.
Now, I wonder whether I would assume that there's probably not going to be a draft combine, but there could be.
No, I don't think there will be.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. It doesn't make a lot. I mean, because everybody would be. I mean, how are you going to do the puke test when?
I mean, the only thing you can do with them like that, and I'm sure that this already has been figured out that they'll have some kind of I know they're doing this with soccer because I have some friends whose kids are trying to get recruited into soccer colleges.
Right.
And what they're doing is there's a general video thing you have to do, like basically for every player. They want to see you kick this thing. You want to see you do headers. They want to see it's like. There's a thing that you do, and that can go out to scouts. Basically saying like, okay, let's see you skate, let's see this, let's see all. There's like 20 things or whatever.
And Russ will know a lot more about this than I do. But the thing, what's apparently going on with the NHL scouts right now is the due diligence that they did in previous, in like say last year when they were scouting guys who were 2021 eligible. They're going back and using that as their evaluation. Now it's not.
As a base, and then they're still looking at whatever video they can find. Yes.
Right. So
this will be live views, and this will count very heavy towards the draft. Whether that's fair or not, it's going to.
Yeah. I mean, the feeling is that by the draft, vaccination should be pretty good. We should be able, and I wonder if we will have an actual live draft or not. We may actually have a live draft.
I mean, they could, because this is going to be the end of May. If they go for another July draft deck, conventional thinking would tell us they probably could do it. And
right.
At that point, you could do it outside any city. You could just do it outside.
Yeah, you could.
You could. That's a I mean.
Go ahead, Mike. Say it. It's a brilliant idea. I know it is, but I want to hear you say it.
I like drafting outside because that reminds me of when I was a kid. We held all of our drafts outside. You know.
Right.
That's what I was going to say. Whenever we play hockey outside,
I'll take Barkley.
Man, we used to do our hockey drafts outside on the porch all the time.
Oh, see, this is where Eck got a swelled head, though, because if you're picking a hockey team, you had to pick your goalies first, even if the other guy, just because it's like the goalies went first. That's the way it was.
Well, not always. I mean, like we had, like, you know, I go back as far as like when Gretzky was in our hockey pools, and you know, back then Gretzky was so good that you could only draft his goals or assists. We had to.
I was talking about real people. I thought
we had to split Gretzky. Yeah, I was thinking about fantasy drafts. We had to split in the fantasy drafts. We used to have to split Gretzky's points up as you could draft.
Yeah, goals and assists. Yes.
Did you have a pool like that, Mike? Did you have any of that too? Because
our playoff
was just so great.
Michael Cohen, who's now back because Stephen Cohen, I guess, left because he's still the same phony. We all have our draft lists. I had to do one for elite prospects. It's not that. It's just no one's going to give a final list until after this tournament. That's what we're basically saying.
That's a lot. It's putting a lot on that.
And I think what you're also will see is the trend that we saw last year. A lot of Europeans, a lot of not just, you know, the top guys are the top guys. They'll be picked no matter what. But you saw a lot of teams take European players that had 4-year windows that they could evaluate those players, or college players that had 3 or 4-year windows. So it's like they're not picking players that you have to make immediate decisions on, and that's bad for like the for the CHL players because that's the window. But it's good news for Finns and Swedes and Czechs and Russians.
Don't listen, Mike. If you don't think there's going to be a ton of Canadian kids drafted, whether they play or not, you're crazy.
No, I think there will be, but I think at the top of the draft, the guys that are definitely going to be signed are those guys. But I think that a lot of the sort of the depth picks in the draft will be college players and European players.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, I think, but you know, the top, the first and second round. We already know who most of them are, probably.
You know, that group at the University of Michigan, Russ. They're going to be drafted in the top half of the first round, no matter what.
True.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
They have a couple that will go in the top 10. I agree.
So I talked to a source, a little rumorville before we get out of here, about Hextall and what's going to happen there. And apparently, you know, it's funny because we all talk about Hexy didn't like to trade his prospects. That was what he was afraid to do. Does like his draft picks. Obviously, doesn't. And Pittsburgh has history of trading away draft picks. Hextall won't do that as much because he doesn't. That's not his game. He likes draft picks. He likes to build prospects. That's what Hextall does. So what does that mean? That means if Hextall's going to make trades, he's going to be trading players. And the reality is that we really, I think we're going to, you know, apparently the Penguin players know this, and it's went through like today that there was a lot of joking going on today and yesterday about the fact that, you know, they're all really on notice and they better be playing well or else they're going to be moved. And everybody, you know, feels like they're in that boat. Obviously not.
But we're going by what he was before.
But no, this is it's not just what he's become. He basically told the team this. I mean, this is not when meetings that he's had with the players already and you know, conversations he's had in Zoom calls he's had with different people. He's like, I am here to make changes. I am told I have to make changes. So
I get that. But Brian Burke is there now too, so that's going to change some of the thinking too.
Yeah, I mean, that would be. I mean, that would be really strange based on the mantra that both Hextall and Burke have said over the last 48 hours that we're going to take a wait and see approach and we're going to see this year what's going on and then make our decisions in the offseason. Okay, now if all of a sudden they go out and trade for Jonathan Quick before the deadline or something like that, then they're congenital liars because now, like you've told me many a time, GM's lips are moving. They're lying, but
And also the thing that really we talk about with GMs all the time is that there's expiration dates on everything they say, right? So to me, that is something you come in and you say right away, we're going to take a wait and see approach. Wait and see means like,
if they lose 10 games in the next 10 games,
it sucks right away. We're not waiting anymore.
Right. If they lose 8 out of the next 10, they're going to go a different way.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree with you. I think that's just.
And the players really have a feeling like there's a definite, and it'll be interesting to see how the Penguins players react to this, because more than normal when a GM comes in, a GM generally does wait for 6 or 7 months before he does anything. These two guys, I feel like they know what's going on, have enough experience that they could actually make.
Well, okay. Let me ask this question as sort of throwing something against the wall here. Obviously, Crosby is the guy who never moves unless he wants to.
Right.
We focus on Malkin and Letang because they have a year left in each of their contracts. Can you see anyone taking either one of those players at full value? Meaning 9.5 for Malkin.
Malkin, I could see it full.
Aren't they both on their second to last years or last year's?
Yeah, they got one more year after this year.
Right.
I see Malkin getting taken full value. Letang, you might have to eat some salary.
I think you have to do with Letang. Yeah, but I think that's right. I think that Russ is right when he says that. I do think that you will find there are definitely teams out there that would take Malkin full. Yeah. So, even though he hasn't played very well at all. Right now, they would still take him.
Right. Now, the thing is, the value here, in terms of moving either one of them, it is short term. It's not like you're trading for a guy with 5 years left.
Right.
With Malkin, it's 1 year at 9.5 after this year. A team like Colorado, and I'm just throwing them out there in terms of, they've got the cap space, they've got the young assets. And maybe they want a 3-time Cup winner to add to that group.
Sure.
That might be something that's feasible.
Yeah.
No, I do
but
think
it's not just those guys. I mean, I've been told, Getzel, keep an eye on him. Zucker, keep an eye on him. Russ, keep an eye on him. There's a lot. The guy who I think is really
a playoff team. I'm taking Brian Russ because he's a playoff performer, man.
Yeah.
A guy who I think is about to become a huge value for his money because he's 3.5, just signed a contract, is Brandon Tanev. I think he's about to become
but this is the first year of a 5-year deal.
Right, but 5 years at 3.5 for a guy who's really, I think, is a top 6 player. They signed him as a bottom 6, but I think he's a top 6 guy. I mean, I don't know. It could be wrong. I mean, but look at.
Yeah, I think he's a good third liner. I don't think he's a top 6 guy.
I don't think he's top 6 either.
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, watching him play, I'm constantly impressed by him when I see him.
Yeah, listen, he's a good player.
He's feisty as hell.
He steps up more, but it's not just feistiness. It's skill. Shot.
He is skill. I mean, but I think he's a top 9. I don't think he's a top 6.
He's speedy. Yeah, I mean, I like him as a player, and the salary is good. It's just a question of, if he's in your top 6, I think if he's your third line guy, he's a matchup problem. As a top 6, I think he's average.
Well, two things I want to answer here. I want to mention the outdoor game for a minute, but games. But Funky said, why would the Avs want Malkin when they have to pay McKinnon? McKinnon has already said once again he'll take less to bring other players in. McKinnon is one of these few guys in the league that doesn't want to ask for absolute top dollar if that will help them become a cup team.
And I stressed when we were talking about that short term. Malkin's deal is up after next year. Right. It's not like you're trading for a guy with 5 years left. That won't mess with McKinnon or any other player. Or
with Malkin is you want to wait, and it's a trade deadline thing. If you're Avalanche, because you want to get the 2 playoff runs out of them, and then and only pay them for 1.5 years. That's that benefit. If you can get that's
the absolute benefit.
And if you're Burke and if you're Hextall, you're asking for probably a first round pick and a young guy like a Newhook or one of the bevy of prospects that Colorado.
I would go straight to defense and with that team. If I'm Pittsburgh.
Well, you're not getting Bowen Byram, but you might get Connor Timmins.
Right.
I mean, yeah, you gotta start there. You gotta try to get Byron and go for Timmins.
Yeah, you have to try. I mean, you have
to try.
It's Malkin. It is Malkin. It's not like we're not talking.
I get it, but
it's possible that they could get if they put in like something more with Malkin.
Yeah, it's possible they could get Byron. There's no question. It's Malkin.
Yeah, I mean, add a draft pick to that or add a conditional thing if Malkin's longer.
I would be shocked, but okay. I would be shocked, but okay.
I do want to mention this for the outdoor game. So, because a lot of people were asking me questions, sending me messages. They were thinking that the league canceled this Ranger game with the Flyers because they want to keep the Flyers, safe for that outdoor game. But they have backup teams for the outdoor game. Yes. It's not like the Flyers are the only team. They knew that either one of these teams could have a problem, and they have backup teams. And they won't tell us who they are, but they do have them listed.
I just saw a report that the Rangers might be one of them.
Yes, but the idea is, I also think they also looked at it and said, why in the world would we even have the Flyers at this point when they haven't been playing, travel to New York, and then have to go back home and then go out
I think that's the case. And
to Nevada.
And they are definitely, and I think the Flyers, and they'll never say this necessarily, but the Flyers are fine with a couple of days off right now. Like I think that team, and I think there's definitely something going on with that too. And obviously, they it's only 3 guys on the Flyers that are been diagnosed with this, right? So it's like we're talking.
Yes. Well, talk about being sort of closed mouth. I was just on the conference call with the Sabres before the show, and Ralph Kruger wasn't doing the press conference. It was Steve Smith. And when he was asked by a couple of reporters about the status of the 9 players that are on the COVID list, he didn't really say anything in terms of them being on, practicing, them being available, what's their progress. The only thing he said was that probably taxi squad players, when they get back to action, would be playing in their place, at least to start. So the 9 guys, none of them are going to be back when they start playing. So you have to assume that some or most of the 9 guys are positive.
Right. Yeah. Based on that assumption, yes.
I mean, the interesting thing to me is that, they've got these COVID things and the teams still continue to practice, and I think the biggest issue with COVID among the teams are the practices. Like, I think that if they're spreading anywhere, I think they're spreading in the practices more than they're spreading in the game.
Well,
I don't know.
I don't know about the practices, Zach, but I do know about the locker rooms. And Russ, I think you've been in that locker room at KeyBank Center when the Sabres played the Devils. The Devils were in there. In the visitors' locker room. The Sabres locker room is immense. It's round and
there. I've been there too. I know that one. Yeah.
The visitors' locker room is like a locker room at a recreational rink in suburb. It's very small, and right after that, their numbers blew up from 2 to 17. So you have
the locker rooms are, and the practice locker room is smaller. I mean, like the Flyers' practice locker room is smaller than their regular locker room. Although
there are
Flyers have a giant locker room in the Wells Fargo Center. Like they don't have one of these giant locker rooms like other teams have.
Well, if there are no fans in the building, I'm just spitballing here. If there are no fans in the buildings and there's a small locker room, why don't they just put stalls out in the hallway that they can be socially distant? It makes it makes a ton of sense. And
I think if I was them, I'd be practicing in small groups more than they do. Like I would be practicing. I would be breaking up practices like this group.
Well, we know that's what they're doing now. They're not going to tell us how they're doing it.
Well, yeah, but some of the media is going to practices.
Some media in some of the cities, not in some of them, they're not. So we don't know.
I think in Philly they are, aren't they?
Yeah, in Philly they are.
Like Bill is. I was talking. Talking to him about. I think I don't know. To me, the practices feel like. So the teams got COVID. We know they've got COVID. They should all quarantine away from each other for a while. But
it's not the whole team, like you said. In Philly, it looks like it's 3, and maybe they had a couple questionable.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe they had a couple questionable. So now they've given it enough time because let's face it, if you're going to have Philly in that outdoor game, it would be nice to have Claude Giroux there for marketing purposes. And so,
yeah. Well, I think that
that's a factor.
You want your stars to get COVID early in the season, so they don't have it during the playoffs. There's that.
Stop.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk about it. I'm like,
there's no rule you can't get it twice, so that's one thing.
It is pretty much a rule. You can't get it twice. I
No,
mean,
it is not a rule. There are people that have gotten it again.
it's been very rare, very, very
But
rare.
it happens, so we can't say in definitive terms.
There's been a congressman that got it again.
Right. We can't say in definitive terms.
Yes, true. But your chances are better.
Yes.
Again.
That's
So
true.
don't think these teams aren't thinking about that.
Okay.
What is this, like smallpox in the 1790s?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Like,
Give everybody COVID so they won't have it for the
chicken
playoffs.
pox parties like we did when we were kids. Like I was just beyond that, but there were that was something that happened in America for a while with chicken pox parties.
Watch the miniseries John Adams. They gave the entire family smallpox just so they,
Yeah. So I mean, the Wild are going to be healthy for the playoffs. They got 9 guys now. None of those guys are probably going to have COVID for the playoffs.
19. They have 19 players.
19, right? So look at that. I mean, that team is pretty much safe the rest of the way. I mean, they could get it again, but chances are they won't. So hey,
and here, okay, again, here you see, and Funky brings this up. Here you see the influence and the power of hockey as opposed to other sports. It was just announced today the Toronto Raptors, the NBA team, they will play the rest of the season in Tampa Bay. So they because they the American teams can't come in.
Right.
But the Leafs, they get to play in their own building. Now they're playing in a Canadian division. The Blue Jays are going to end up playing in Buffalo or in Dunedin. I mean,
I heard they're going to play in Tampa too. That's what I heard. The Blue Jays
no, because Tampa's playing in Tampa. Where
Right.
No, but I heard that the Blue Jays could also be playing in Tampa. I've heard that.
the only other facility is the Yankees spring training facility. Maybe, and that's bigger. So maybe that would be it because they'd be able to get more fans.
Yeah, no, that's definitely. I mean, I heard one of the guys from one of the guys I know down there who works for the Lightning said that.
Isn't that George Steinbrenner Stadium?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've driven. Have you been there? Have you been?
Oh, that's all I'm gonna say.
What would be worse, Russ? Playing at George Steinbrenner Stadium or playing at Salem Field and having Andrew Cuomo sitting next to Geddy Lee?
I think we know the answer, Mike.
This is not George Costanza Stadium, right? We'll give it that
No,
much.
it's not. They're not going to be playing in wool uniforms.
That's all the time we have for today, guys, and not a second too soon. Remember, folks, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We will talk to you all